What is up, people? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great time. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you had a great start to the year, and hope great things are in store for you this upcoming year in 2023. And good luck to you all with all your endeavors for this year and all that you hope to achieve. May God help you with it, and may He help you in terms of realizing whatever dreams you have in 2023. But welcome to another video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's time for another video. It's time to talk about football again. After another weekend of exhilarating Premier League football. Yeah, man, I'll just talk about the results and I'll briefly touch on the games that are going to be playing this week. Should I do that? Yeah, I will. Okay, see, tell you what I'm gonna do is I am gonna touch on the games that are gonna be playing this week because we do have starting from today actually because Liverpool play Brentford today, and then tomorrow Newcastle play Arsenal. I know City play Chelsea on Thursday. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna try and touch briefly on the games that are gonna be playing this week while I touch on the results that happened this weekend. So every time if I talk about Arsenal, I'll first talk about them against Brighton, and then I'll talk about them against Newcastle tomorrow. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I've got my laptop here, guys, so I'll just be looking down a bit and maybe just checking like a few things. But let's start. Excuse me. Let's start at the top of the table. I'll start with Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal won against Brighton 4-2. I thought it was going to be a much tougher game for Arsenal than it turned out to be against Brighton. Credit to them. And because they were 3-0 up against Brighton. And yes, Brighton made it a bit interesting towards the end because they did score 2 goals. And then I think they had a goal disallowed as well that could have made the game 4-3. But Arsenal were always winning that game, I felt. And they played real well. Great pass from Martin Odegaard and a good finish by Martinelli from that Odegaard pass. And obviously Nketiah has stepped up into the role of Gabriel Jesus because Gabriel Jesus obviously got injured in the World Cup. And and guys, I'm sorry for like this camera. Like it looks like I'm a bit like I'm not at the center of the screen. It's because this phone is really long. It's actually not my phone. It's my mom's phone because I don't have a phone at this moment in time. So it's like a bit long. Therefore, the camera is up there. So that's why it's like I'm a bit down. So I apologize for that because like when I bring the phone down, then this ring light just falls over. So I apologize for that. But basically, Arsenal played really well against Brighton, scored 4 goals. Yes, they conceded two, but won the game 4-2. And yeah, good performance from them. And they are 7 points clear at the top of the table going into the new year because City dropped points against Everton. We drew against Everton. So yeah, really good game from Arsenal and a great start to the season for them. Obviously, we're not yet halfway through the season because we've played like Arsenal has played 16 games, City has played 16 games as well, and we still have 22 games to go. We're going to be halfway through when we've played 19 games. So, as a City fan, I'm not really panicking about Arsenal because I see I've seen the City team come back from worse points differences before. So like at this current moment in time, we're 7 points clear behind Arsenal. Well, we're 7 points behind Arsenal, and Arsenal 7 points clear of us. Now, I do remember in season 2018-19, we were competing with Liverpool for the title, and we ended up getting 98 points. I think, yeah, we got 98 points, and they got 97 points, and we ended up winning the league. Now, at one point in that season, we were 7 points behind Liverpool because I think we lost against a team. I forgot which team it was, but we lost and we drew. So we dropped 5 points, and Liverpool were just winning, and they were winning, and they were winning. And then I remember it was the 3rd of January 2019, going into a game against Liverpool at the Etihad Stadium. We were going to play Liverpool at the Etihad, and they were 7 points clear off us. And we beat them and went back to 4 points, and they drew 2 games, and we went ahead of them by 1 point, and we won every game from then on up until the end of the season, and we ended up winning the league with 98 points. And I heard from an older City fan that there was once upon a time that we were competing with Man United. I think it was 2011-12. We were competing with Man United in a title race, and they were 8 points ahead of us with 10 games to go, and we still won the league that season. So obviously that's a totally different team then, because it was 2011-12. It's a totally different team to the team we have now. But in my experience with this team that we have now, we have come back from points different, like from a point deficit whereby we've had a team that has been ahead of us by 7 points, 8 points, 5 points. It's happened before. So that's why I'm not panicking as of yet. And look, I hear some people also talk about City maybe lacking a bit of dynamism in the wing positions, because we've lost Sterling, we've lost Jesus, and we have Grealish now and Mahrez. Again, I'm not really concerned about that, because I mean, like, yes, you could say we've lost a bit of dynamism in the wing positions, but we're still scoring and we're still playing some exciting football. I know we've lost against Brentford, and I know we drew against Southampton. Not Southampton, we drew against Everton. And the reason I'm saying Southampton actually, because I'm thinking back to last season, where we did have wing dynamism, you could say, because we had Jesus and we had Sterling. And we still lost to Crystal Palace at the Etihad, and we drew against Southampton home and away, and we drew against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park when we went to their stadium, and we lost against Spurs home and away, and we still won the league. So again, I think some people are being a bit reactionary, and well, okay, not reactionary, like they're being a bit reactive, and they're overreacting to the situation that we drew against Everton and we lost against Brentford, and now all of a sudden Arsenal have a 7 point lead on us because they've been winning every game. They only lost against Man United and they drew against someone, I forgot who it was. But what I would say is that obviously Arsenal are playing really well at the moment, and credit to them, and they're really good. They've been the best team this season. In the season 2022-2023, Arsenal have been the best team, no question about it. And yes, they have been the best team, but there's still a long way to go in my opinion, because 22 games is a lot of points to play for, and we still have to play Arsenal both home and away, which we could beat them. I mean, they could beat us too, but obviously I'm looking on the positive side here. I'm looking on the bright side because I'm a City fan. I'm not an Arsenal fan. So we're still going to play Arsenal home and away. They're still going to play Newcastle tomorrow, and it's their first game actually against Newcastle, and they're going to be playing at home. They still have to play Newcastle at St James's Park, of which Newcastle in that stadium this season have not been defeated. They've won most of their games there, and they haven't lost any game at St James's Park. Arsenal still have to go to Anfield and play Liverpool, of which Liverpool don't really lose games at Anfield or even draw games. They win most of their games. I know this season Liverpool have been a bit like they've been a bit suspect. So Arsenal could beat them there, but Liverpool barely lose games whenever they play at Anfield, and they've only lost one game there against Leeds United this season. But when they play against the top teams, they always put on a performance at Anfield. And Arsenal still have to play Spurs away as well, which that's going to happen right now in January. I'm not sure when, but they're going to play Spurs away now in January. And Arsenal in recent seasons have been losing all the time when they've been playing against Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or at White Hart Lane, whatever you want to call it. So what I'm trying to say basically is that yes, Arsenal have really looked good so far this season, but there's still a long way to go, and there's still some tough fixtures that Arsenal have coming up. I know it's the same thing for City. We're going to play Chelsea on Thursday, which by now, I think basically the lads are going to be realizing it that actually we up against it in this title race against Arsenal, and it's time to put the boots on and start winning every game, because Arsenal are really playing well and they are looking a very difficult side to beat, and it's going to be a difficult title race against them. So I'm expecting the lads that the experience is going to kick in, and they're going to realize that we have to win every game from now until the end of the season. Yes, it's not a crisis; it's just 7 points, but we can't keep dropping points because this Arsenal team is really good. So we play Chelsea on Thursday, and I expect the lads to put on performance so that we win that game. I mean, Chelsea have been shocking this season. I think in the last 7 games, they've only won once, and they struggled to do anything against Nottingham Forest, who are in a relegation battle. I know we did the same against Everton because Everton are in a relegation battle. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, this guys, Chelsea, this season are really they're not at it. They are 8 points off top four. Because currently Man United are fourth place. And Chelsea are 8 points off top four, and they are not really playing well at this moment in time. So I would expect that we're going to beat Chelsea when we play Chelsea because we need to beat them to keep putting on the pressure on Arsenal. And then we're going to play Chelsea again on Sunday in the FA Cup. Now, obviously, that's a toss of a coin because I don't actually even know which players are going to play in that game, because surely Pep is going to rest some players for that game because the games are coming thick and fast now. And then we're going to play Spurs home and away this month. We're going to play Spurs at the Etihad and at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then we're also going to We are also going to um we're also going to play Man United this month. So we're also going to play Man United. So this month, the fixtures that we have coming up, we have Chelsea, we have Spurs home and away, we have Man United. Those are tough fixtures that we need to win the majority of them. We need to, at least out of those 4 big games, win 3 and maybe draw 1. I don't know. But we cannot afford to be to keep on losing and or to keep on drawing these games. We really need to start winning them because it's not looking good because Arsenal are playing really well, and it's gonna be a tough title race against them if they keep this run. And everything we've been saying about Arsenal, oh, they haven't done this, oh, they haven't done this, they keep answering the critics. We said at the beginning of the season they haven't played anyone, and then they play Liverpool, they play Chelsea, they play Tottenham, and they beat all of them. And then we said, oh, they're not used to playing in Europe and playing in the Premier League at the same time. And then that came, and they kept on winning. So, and then we said, oh, let's see how they're going to do after the World Cup. And they've come back from the World Cup and they've won their first 2 games after the World Cup. Obviously, still a long way to go. I still say they're still going to play Newcastle. I expect a very tough game for Arsenal. I know I said that against Brighton, but Newcastle have been one of the top teams this season. That's why they're in the top 3 of the Premier League so far. So I expect a really tough. I know Arsenal are playing at home where they've been brilliant. They've been flawless this season because they've played 7 games and they've won 7 games at home. But that Newcastle team is no joke. They make it tough on you, and they're gonna be trying to attack Arsenal. They're not just gonna go to the Emirates and just sit there and say, oh well, we don't have to win this, and we're just gonna sit back and we're not gonna do anything. It's not gonna happen. They will try and take the game to Arsenal from time to time. So I expect a really interesting game and intriguing fixture tomorrow between Arsenal and Newcastle. Obviously, I'm a City fan, so I want Newcastle to win that game or draw, whatever. But I don't want Arsenal to win, obviously, because we're competing in a title race with them. So I'm honestly I've really been impressed with Arsenal, and as a City fan, we need to start kicking on. We need to start winning these games. I still fully believe that we can win the league. I think we are better equipped than Arsenal to win the league. I think we have more squad depth. I think we've got the experience. I think we can beat Arsenal home and away because Arsenal are a team that basically they are a mirror image of what Manchester City are. They want to dominate the ball and they want to play on the front foot. Meaning when we play them, they will be playing a high line against us. Same thing that we will be doing the same against them because we also want to dominate the ball and impose ourselves on the opposition on the opposition. So the reason why I bring that up is because I think Haaland can feast on space and behind against any defense. And I think we're gonna have that against Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal have quality players as well, like Saka, like Martinelli, who can go in behind as well. But obviously, we have Walker fit now back. Again, I'm expecting him to start against Chelsea. Hopefully, he doesn't get injured again because I think he's going to really be key for us in the second half of the season. So I still fully believe that we are going to win the league. I'm not going to change my tune. I've been saying all along that we're going to win the league, and I'm not going to change it. And I know some people are having doubts about City, but this doesn't phase me because I've heard it all before. Last season, Chelsea were top of the league. I think after I don't know after how long, like after 12, 13 games, and everyone was saying that Chelsea are going to win the league. And then we went on a run and we went ahead of Chelsea and we ended up basically winning the league. In terms of, if you look at the points difference between us and Chelsea, I think it was more than 10 points. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal are going to crumble like how Chelsea crumbled last season, because Chelsea just crumbled last season. I think this Arsenal team have a bit more about them, but I still believe that we can win this league. And honestly, I think if push comes to shove, when we face Arsenal, and let's say they have a 7 point, 8 point, 6 point, 9 point lead on us, I think we'll beat them because I think the lads are gonna put on a performance, and they will like the lads will know that we cannot lose to Arsenal if they have a 9 point, if they have an 8 point lead on us. Otherwise, that's the league gone. Because if you've played 20 plus games and you are 15 points behind and 13 points behind someone, you're making it really difficult for yourself. So I think it's a really intriguing title race, and I'm actually looking forward to playing Arsenal because I think it's going to be really it's going to be an end to end game of football. Like how you've seen us play against Liverpool in previous seasons, I think this Arsenal game is going to be that, because I think we're going to bring the energy, because this Arsenal team won our league title, and they are more than capable of winning winning our league title. And obviously we want to win the league again. We want to do a three-peat. Only Man United have won the league 3 years in a row, and we have a good chance of doing that, and joining them in doing that. So really looking forward to how this season is going to unfold. Obviously, it was a disappointing result for us against Everton because we drew against Everton and we should have beaten Everton. I was not happy with regards to Pep Guardiola, and I didn't mind the team selection. Like the team selection, it is what it is. I don't really mind that, even though I thought Foden should have started the game. But I didn't really have a problem with that. What I had a problem with was the lack of substitutions in the game. He only made substitutions after the 85th minute. I know we had 11 minutes added, but I thought he should have brought in the likes of Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, Gundogan, maybe Cancelo a bit earlier in the game. He only made substitutions after the 85th minute, of which I think it's a tall ask. It's really difficult to do something after 85 minutes in the game. I think he should have brought them on 15 minutes before when he actually brought them on. So I was not happy about that, because I thought in the game, yes, we played well up until when we scored that goal in the first half. After we scored the goal, we just we gave Everton the space. We allowed them to start imposing themselves on the ball. The pressing wasn't that great in the game. That could be due to fatigue. I don't know. Because the pressing is normally up to scratch and up to standard all the time when it comes to the lads, which is why I thought we needed substitutions. We needed energy. Like Julian Alvarez always brings the energy when he plays. Phil Foden always brings the energy when he plays. So that's what really upset me in that Everton game. I thought that game, I thought we were complacent in the game. As soon as we scored, it was like, okay, well, gents, we've scored and we're gonna win. And it doesn't work like that, especially in the Premier League. Every team in the Premier League is a threat. I don't care if they're 20, if they're sitting in position 20 in the league. Every team has the quality to hurt you if you are going to get complacent. And that's what we did against Everton. So, really disappointing result. But obviously we move. And it happens from time to time. as I've already highlighted, last season we lost against Crystal Palace, we drew against them, we drew against Southampton home and away. So yes, we drew against Everton. That's in the past now. Yes, I was disappointed with our performance in that game after we scored the goal. I thought before we scored the goal, the performance was good, but after that, it wasn't good enough. And Pep also is at fault, in my opinion, because he made substitutions. Like it was too late when he decided to make the substitutions in the game. I thought even before Everton scored a goal, we should have made substitutions because they were imposing themselves in the ball. They were growing in confidence. And you must never allow any team to do that against you because you're giving them hope. They must always have that fear in them that actually, guys, these guys are just going to hammer us if we start like committing men forward. And we did the opposite. We just gave them the confidence. We gave them the ball. We allowed them the space. And I thought that wasn't good enough from us as a team. So I was really not happy about that. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the game against Chelsea. I think it's going to be a good game of football. Obviously, Chelsea not playing well at this moment in time, but that doesn't mean anything in a game of this magnitude because if Chelsea win against City, then everything is going to be rosy again and they're going to kickstart their season. They've beaten the champions. So it's not going to be an easy game just because Chelsea are not playing well, which is why we need to go there. We can't be complacent and we need to put on a performance and we need to beat Chelsea. I think Pep is going to bring back Phil Foden to the side. I think Kyle Walker is going to come back to the side. I would like Cancelo to also come back to the team because I don't like playing the system where we have Ake, Stones and Akanji in the back four because that then means we end up playing a back three and I think that limits us in terms of attacking options down that left-hand side. We end up having one player in Phil Foden or Jack Grealish in that left-hand side who is attacking. And the opposition can just sit off and they can just double team him because he's the only one attacking down that side. So I would like Cancelo to come back to the team as well. I don't know why Pep is going with this back threes. I know we won with the same team against Leeds United, but I think sooner rather than later we need to change it up and we need to go back to playing back four with two defenders and two fullbacks. Walker is brilliant at basically having the energy and the pace to make sure that he offers something attacking wise, but he also offers something defensive wise. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think he should also go back into the side. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the starting 11 against Chelsea. I hope Pep Guardiola starts Phil Foden and he also starts Walker. I love Rico Lewis. I think he's been brilliant since he's been playing in the team. But these are big games now. Like it's now or never now. Like because this Arsenal team are no joke. They beating everyone, and we need to start winning. Like this whole thing of, we'll just win the next game. Sooner rather than later, it's going to be too late because we keep getting these odd results and drawing and losing some games. We're going to wake up and Arsenal are going to be 15 points ahead of us, having played the same number of games. We cannot afford for that to happen because 15 points is a very large points deficit. So we need to get back into it, man. Like we need to start winning these games. So yeah, man. I think Arsenal have been brilliant. Kudos to them. Credit to Mikel Arteta. They've been really, 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 really good so far this season. But obviously, as a City fan, I hope that they drop points against Newcastle. I'm hoping that Newcastle do us a favor, and it's going to really be an intriguing title race from now until the end of the season. And then, guys, I'll just move on to the next games. I've covered Arsenal and actually, I didn't. Yeah, I did talk about Arsenal and Newcastle. In that Newcastle are unbeaten when they play at home. But obviously, this is at the Emirates, and Arsenal have won every game they played at the Emirates. But the point that I was trying to make is that Newcastle are no joke, and they're really tough team to play against. And I'm hoping that they can do something against Arsenal because I think they are more than capable of causing Arsenal a few problems. Because Newcastle so far this season have the best defense in the league. And that's why obviously they're top 3 because they can defend and they can keep clean sheets. I'm not saying they're going to keep a clean sheet against Arsenal, especially when Arsenal are playing at home, where they've been brilliant basically. But I am looking forward to that game against Arsenal and Newcastle because I think Newcastle can cause an upset against Arsenal. And yeah, guys, I'll move on into Liverpool. Liverpool played Leicester City on Friday. Last week Friday, Liverpool played Leicester City, and they were shocking in the game. I actually thought I was gonna say that about Leicester City, not about Liverpool. And Liverpool didn't really play well in that game, but the Leicester City defender Faz had a horrific night. He had a horrific performance, and he gave away two own goals. He scored two own goals for Liverpool, and Liverpool ended up winning the game because of that. Now I don't really like. I didn't watch this game, but I did listen to some analysis about it. In that Matip was not really good. He was playing with Van Dijk at centre back, and Trent, who is always getting criticized because of his defensive qualities or a lack thereof, in that people are saying he was brilliant in that game, defensive wise. Like he was the best player for Liverpool defensively, and that's good for him, obviously, because a lot of people are criticizing Trent Alexander-Arnold because they're saying can't defend, me included. Because some goals that Liverpool concede, you look at his positioning and he's just like, it looks like he's sleeping. Obviously, we know what he can do going forward. Going forward is the best fullback in the world, like no question about it. But it's just he needs to just sharpen up his defensive qualities a bit to turn him into that world class fullback who can attack and then defend. He's a world class attacking fullback, but he's not a world class fullback because he can't really defend properly. So, which obviously, like most fullbacks are like that nowadays because there's a lot more emphasis that's being put on attacking when it comes to fullbacks, and that's why most fullbacks are not going to be like world beaters in terms of defensively, but you still have to be able to do a decent job defensively. Like you can't be just shocking and be a robot basically, defensively as a fullback, because sooner rather than later you become a liability for your team. So I'm happy for Trent that he was the best player defensively for Liverpool against Leicester City. But I really thought Liverpool were going to blow Leicester away. But obviously Leicester played well and they gave a good account of themselves. And Liverpool were not good, but the most important thing is that they won. And they've now won 4 games in a row. And they are really pushing now. They're edging closer to that top four. If I just look at the table here, they are currently sixth. And they're only 2 points off. They're 4 points off top four. So Man United currently occupy fourth at this moment in time with 32 points. Liverpool have 28 points. They've played the same number of games as Man United, but obviously nothing is decided yet. They've still played 16 games. There's still 22 games to go. And there's a lot that can happen between now until the end of the season. So good win for Liverpool. Yes, didn't perform great, but the most important thing is that they won. And sometimes you just need to win. Like when you don't play well, you just need to win. That's actually a great quality to have. And that's what Liverpool did. They won, and that's all that matters. So good win for them. And obviously Liverpool are going to be playing tonight against Brentford. Kickoff is at 7:30 South African Standard Time. They are at Brentford. They're going to be playing at the Brentford Community Stadium. Obviously, tough game against Brentford because Brentford have been really playing well so far this season. They've beaten City. They've drawn against Tottenham. They've beaten Man United. So Brentford have really been a good outfit this season. They are currently 10th with 23 points. So they're only 5 points off Liverpool, having played a game more than Liverpool. So really, really good start to the season for Brentford. I think it's going to be a tough game for Liverpool at the Brentford Community Stadium because Brentford never make it easy whenever you play against them in that stadium at the Brentford Community Stadium. Their fans are always bouncing. The stadium is really small, so the noise levels are always high. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game for Liverpool. I was back Liverpool to win against Brentford, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool win. And then, obviously, guys, the other game that played was Man United against Wolves. Man United went to Molineux and they played against Wolves. I actually predicted a 2-1 win for Man United. They ended up winning 1-0, which is a good win for them. Wolves are the type of team that always kind of like play tough. They defend, and they're not potent in terms of scoring goals, but they are able to keep clean sheets. So they always make it tough for you. And Man United obviously didn't start Rashford, who's been really on fire, because of disciplinary reasons, because he was late for a meeting, I think. So Eric Ten Hag is really doing a good job of stamping his authority in the team and making sure that the players are well disciplined and they're following his rules. But obviously, he had to bring on Marcus Rashford at halftime because Man United were not playing well really in the game, and they were not creating anything. And Rashford ended up winning the game for them, and they ended up winning the game 1-0, which is a good result against Wolves. Because Wolves is always, it's always a tough game when you play against them, especially when you play at their stadium. So if you can go there and just grind out a 1-0 result, that's a brilliant result, and you just move on to the next fixture. And obviously, Man United are playing Bournemouth in their next fixture tomorrow, which again, that's a game that they should win because Bournemouth have not been really good so far this season. I think they are in the relegation. Oh, they're not in the relegation zone. They are currently 15th, and they have 16 points. So they are 2 points above the drop zone because Nottingham Forest are 17th with 14 points. So Bournemouth are in a relegation battle. Obviously, we expected that because they are a newly promoted side. So I think Man United should go and beat and beat Bournemouth, especially because they're playing at home as well. They're playing at Old Trafford, so really, well and truly, they should not be struggling to beat Bournemouth. Man United have really been playing well of late, so I would expect that they are going to beat Bournemouth. And Casemiro has been really playing well for Man United. He is the player that they've been crying out for a very, very long period of time. Because like Man United haven't had a world class defensive midfielder in years. So they finally have that in Casemiro, world class defensive midfielder, a guy that just reads the game. He's not the quickest, but he's always in the right place at the right time because he's a brilliant reader of the game. So brilliant signing for Man United. Some people might argue he came to United for the money. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, even us normal people, if we get a job opportunity and if we get 5 job opportunities, we will compare the salaries before we decide on which job we are going to take. So, and we would do exactly the same thing if we were Casemiro because he was playing for Real Madrid. Now, there was nothing really left for him to achieve at Real Madrid because he already won 5 Champions League titles at Real Madrid and won La Liga multiple times. So if you're getting a paycheck that is significantly more than what you're earning at Real Madrid at Man United, why wouldn't you go? Because you're going to try a different league and different scenery for you and your family. You've played for Real Madrid. You've reached the pinnacle with Real Madrid. And now you get it. You're 30 years old or 29. I think it's 30. You still have maybe 5-6 years left at the top level. Why not go and take the money? I would do that, and I'm pretty sure most of us would. So brilliant signing for Man United. I would expect Man United to beat Bournemouth. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Man United winning that game. And then on to Spurs. Obviously, I've talked about City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. Okay, I didn't talk about Chelsea. I just spoke about City. So let's go to Chelsea before I go to Tottenham. Yeah. I'll talk on Chelsea a bit. Obviously, Chelsea are playing Man City on Thursday, of which I hope we win that game. I'm predicting 3-1 City win in that game. But on to Chelsea about their game against Nottingham Forest. And poor performance from Chelsea. Didn't really have a spark offensively. Didn't deserve to win the game. Even the coach said that. And whenever the coach admits that his team wasn't good enough to win, it means they weren't good enough to win. So that's really damning for the Chelsea players. They scored and they went ahead against Nottingham Forest. Good goal from Sterling. And then in the second half, they were nowhere to be found. And Nottingham Forest just took the game to them. And they were physical with them. They were in their faces and they ended up scoring. And you could say Nottingham Forest were unlucky not to win the game. And that's quite damning for Chelsea because Nottingham Forest are in the relegation zone. So for you to come out of the game saying we're actually lucky to get the point against Nottingham Forest. That's quite damning, and it means your performance wasn't up to scratch, which the Chelsea performance wasn't. Obviously, Chelsea this season are struggling a bit. They got rid of Thomas Tuchel and they brought on Graham Potter. So obviously, Graham Potter built his reputation at Brighton, where he developed players and he got his players and he played this attacking style of football. Even when he played against the top teams, he was playing an attacking style of football. So obviously, it's going to take time for him to implement that at Chelsea because the players that he has at Chelsea are not his players. They are players from previous managers, or from previous regimes. And the problem for Chelsea is that they have lots of players from many different managers, like the likes of Kai Havertz, um, Mason Mount, um, Pulisic. All these guys, they were signed by Frank Lampard. That was 3 managers ago because since then there's been Tuchel and there's been Potter. So it's really difficult because now you have players that were signed by managers that are no longer there. So now you're giving these players to a new manager who might not want these players. Obviously, Graham Potter's going to work with them because it's all he has right now. And obviously, he's in a transfer window at this moment in time. And Chelsea are busy. They have been linked heavily with Enzo Fernandez, whose release clause I think is £105 million. He's currently at Benfica at this moment in time. So obviously, Graham Potter wants to get his players so that he can start building a team that is in his he can start building a team in his own image because that's what he did against Brighton, and we know that Graham Potter is a good coach. So it's really difficult for him at this moment in time. Chelsea, obviously, Aubameyang is the striker, but he's not the answer because he's been shocking really since he signed for Chelsea. He's not good enough. Again, it's a player from a previous regime because Aubameyang was not signed by Graham Potter. He was signed for Thomas Tuchel, who's no longer there. So it's a really difficult situation for Graham Potter at this moment in time because I think the players he has at his disposal are not good enough. And they're not good enough to do what he wants them to do. And he also has injuries to his squad because Kante is injured, Reece James is injured, Ben Chilwell is injured. So now he has to play Jorginho as the defensive midfielder, which Jorginho is not good enough to play in that position. And also, fullback wise, he doesn't have Reece James, who is their most creative player whenever he plays, and doesn't have Chilwell, who also contributes a lot when it comes to chance creation for Chelsea. So it's really looking bleak for Graham Potter at this moment in time. Really difficult time for him because he's finding it hard to basically put on a team that he believes in, that is going to put on performances for him, because you've got a group of players that was signed from previous managers, and therefore Graham Potter he has this puzzle in front of him that is very difficult to solve. So, but I don't think Graham Potter is going to get sacked at Chelsea, no matter what happens, because he was given a 5-year contract by Todd Bowley, the leader of the consortium that owns Chelsea at this moment in time. So I don't think they're just going to sack him because, I mean, why give him a 5-year contract in the first place if you're not willing to be patient with him? So I think he is going to get given time at Chelsea, and I think they should give him time because it's not going to help you if you just keep chopping and changing managers. It's not sustainable. So I think they should give him the time because if you give him the time for him to get a few players during a few transfer windows to get his players that he wants in his team, I think Chelsea can build and build and build and eventually start competing for the league again. Obviously, they're nowhere near that at this moment in time, but I think they should give Graham Potter the time to implement that style because I think it is going to pay off in the end. Look at Arsenal, for example. A lot of people were criticizing Mikel Arteta at the beginning of his tenure, saying that they can't see what he's trying to do. But that's because he didn't have the players that he wanted in order for him to be able to implement his style. But now he has them, and he's competing in a title race with Man City, and he's ahead of them. So patience is key in these types of situations. So yeah, not a good performance from Chelsea, but I think Graham Potter should be given time. And then Tottenham, again, not good enough from them because they played against Aston Villa and they lost 2-0. An error from Lloris. I think it's done for Lloris now at Tottenham. I think he's making way too many errors. And I think they should think about moving on from him now. He's been there for a very long time. Good servant for the club. But I think they should think about moving on and getting another goalkeeper now. And yeah, man, like, and I think Antonio Conte and Tottenham, I think that's going to end soon because Antonio Conte hasn't signed a new contract and his contract ends at the end of the season. And like, they're not playing well. Like, Antonio Conte is a manager that he's not going to develop players. Really, like, it's not a good fit between him and Tottenham because Tottenham have this policy of developing young players and trying to sell them on to get money so that they can buy more players and that kind of thing. Antonio Conte is not that type of manager. He wants ready-made players so that he can win trophies. And Tottenham are just not that kind of club. Especially also with the fact that Antonio Conte is refusing to commit his future to the club because his contract is ending in 6 months' time. So as Daniel Levy and the Arsenal, but not Arsenal, the Tottenham board, how do you then back him by spending loads of money if he's not committing? And also now Tottenham have another dilemma in their hands in that Harry Kane was willing to stay at Tottenham because he was seeing this coach with a great mentality, with huge personality, and maybe perhaps he believed that they could win a trophy. But now it's looking really sour and doesn't look like Antonio Conte actually wants to be at Tottenham. He's calling out the board in press conferences, saying he needs players, saying he can't compete. So now, if Antonio Conte leaves, that also kind of opens the door for Harry Kane to leave. And Harry Kane also has 2 years left in his contract at Tottenham. So it's a really very difficult situation for Tottenham at this moment in time. So yeah, man, like it was an awful performance from Tottenham, and yeah, like also the problem with Tottenham is that they don't have good defenders. So that Antonio Conte system, playing 3 at the back and basically allowing the opposition to have the ball, you can't play that system if you don't have good defenders because it's a defensive style of football. Therefore, that means you have to have good defenders in order for it to work. If you don't have good defenders, it's not going to work because those defenders are going to make mistakes and therefore the opposition is going to score. And what good is it playing a defensive style of football if you're then going to concede goals every time? Like every game Tottenham play, they concede. That's because the defenders are not good enough to play in that system. So I think it's a really it's a tricky situation, and I think the only way it ends is if Conte is sacked or he walks. And I think he might walk because I don't see why he's going to stay at Tottenham because they're not going to spend the money he wants them to spend. Like, Tottenham are not going to match the spending power of Man City, Man United, Chelsea, and yeah, those are the clubs that spend big. Like Liverpool spend, but they don't spend that much. And Arsenal have spent, man, like in the past 2 transfer windows, and I think the past 3, I think they have spent over 150 million. Spurs don't do that though. Like, even that by Arsenal is good because Spurs, like, they're gonna spend 150 every once in a while. They're not gonna do that every transfer window, which is what Antonio Conte wants. So I don't see how the relationship is gonna work really. And also, Conte is stubborn because he doesn't want to change his system, but he doesn't have the players to implement that system. And the players are looking like they're starting to lose belief. Son has been shocking the whole season. Like, he scored 3 goals from a player that won the Golden Boot last season. That's not really been good enough. That's a massive drop off. Harry Kane looks like he's tired, and the other players, they just don't look like they don't look like they're buying in. And obviously Antonio Conte is a coach that his training methods are really rigorous and tough. Like, he likes his players to put a foot in and like to work really hard. So again, now that's going to be really difficult because in order for players to buy in that kind of style of training, you need to win. And now they are getting a few bumpy, like they're getting a few odd results. They're losing games here and there. They're drawing games. So I think there's going to be a sour end to this relationship between them and Antonio Conte. And I don't think it's going to get any easier because on Wednesday they're going to play Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace are not an easy team to play against, especially at Selhurst Park. I think they are 11th on the table, 22 points from 16 games, really where they should be. So I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Tottenham, and I'm not actually going to be surprised if they lose that game. I'm actually going to predict a 2-1 Crystal Palace win because I think they haven't been good enough, Tottenham. So yeah, man, I think we're getting really to that part of the season that's really interesting now. The games are coming thick and fast, and it's really going to be interesting, man. So yeah, like I think it's going to be an interesting second half of the season, and I think I will end it there, guys. I've covered the games, the results, and the games that are going to be playing this week. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Please, guys, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Please push the thumbs up button to like the video, and also please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. Please, guys, support the channel, watch the videos, and push the like button, man. It doesn't even take time. Like, just push the like button, and it doesn't even cost money as well. So yeah, man, I'd really appreciate if you did that, guys, for me. And I really appreciate you guys watching the video so far, and I would like to ask you to keep watching the videos. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.